Hello, hello, Sean Ferrick here for Trek Culture, and we are coming to you with a question today relating to the second season of Star Trek Picard. The question is quite simply, who is the Watcher? Now, the Watcher is a character who was introduced in the second episode of the second season of Star Trek Picard. We know that there's been a change in time, thanks to the confirmation by the Borg Queen. She's able to pinpoint the exact year and location that this change in time has taken place. She then tells Picard to seek the Watcher. Now, okay, let's have a little bit of context here. End of episode 1 of season 2 of Star Trek Picard saw the Borg return to the Alpha Quadrant, attack and cause the destruction by means of Picard ordering's auto-destruct of the Stargazer. That could have been game over, but no, Q steps in, saves Picard's life, but they're now in a different totalitarian version of modern day Star Trek. The Borg Queen confirms that something has happened to change time. Q, in some form, tends to put some of the blame for the situation on Picard, but this is less that maybe Picard physically has done something, more so that Picard is in the situation he's in now, i.e. without Laris, because of the way he's chosen to live his life. As Q says, there's a lot of talk of second chances. This has inspired Q to go back, create this fork in the road, and result in this situation. Picard is going to have to go back in time with the, thankfully still alive, crew of La Sirena / the Stargazer to 2024 and find this Watcher. Who is the Watcher? Well, we at Trek Culture Towers have a few theories, but our most likely candidate is none other than Captain Benjamin Sisko. Now, before I just get into the wild theorizing as to how we landed on this, let me give you a little bit of evidence that we're using for our clues. First of all, Sisko has been name dropped already in this season. General Sisko was name dropped in season 2, episode 2. This could refer to Jake, it's possible, could refer to Ben Sisko, who potentially, in this version of the timeline, never ended up in the Celestial Temple. But this is part of our clue. When last we saw Ben Sisko, he was with the Prophets in the Celestial Temple. Now, we know that the Prophets are non-linear beings. Effectively, we don't know if they're affected by changes in the timeline. As such, they could quite easily send Sisko back into the past in an attempt to fix whatever's gone wrong. Why would they do that? Why would they send him to this particular time? Now, as we've seen in the trailers for Star Trek Picard, the Sanctuary Districts are in effect in 2024 in LA. The Sanctuary Districts were introduced back in Star Trek Deep Space Nine in the 2-part episode Past Tense. This is the episode that saw Sisko take on the role of Gabriel Bell and effectively become the instigator of the Bell Riots, which saw sweeping change throughout the United States in the early 21st century. Now, one little mark against our theory is that the Bell Riots took place in San Francisco, whereas we know Picard and crew go to LA. Now, I've done the check on Google Maps. It's not massively far away, so, they could quite easily travel from one to the other. So far, okay, we've got a few clues that give this theory a little bit of credence. Another little bit of evidence is that in one of the trailers, we see Picard holding hands with a very distinct other pair of hands, and also a jacket that's so cool that it so could easily be worn by Sisko. That's not evidence, I just think it's a cool piece of clothing. Now, another potential bit of evidence here is that Sisko has previous dealings with Q. Of course, they met in the episode Q-less in the first season of Deep Space Nine. That's the episode where they got into the boxing match and Sisko laid one on Q. So it wouldn't be out of complete bounds to, have these characters run into each other again, which would mean that we have Picard, Seven, and Sisko representing 3 different Star Trek iterations, all of whom have previous experience with Q. Another piece of, this would be more behind the scenes, and potentially evidence is a strong word for this one, but we know via Cirroc Lofton that Avery Brooks wants to act, and more that it's a case of no one's picking up the phone. If they managed to bring Sisko back into Star Trek, that would be an enormous achievement, particularly if they managed to keep it a secret as well. Because, as we know from this week, almost a full year in advance, it has been revealed that James T. Kirk will be appearing in Season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So that, unfortunately, now, whether it was always the plan to release the information this early, it looks like it was leaked. If they managed to pull off the return of Sisko quietly, I mean, well done. Now let's put that to the side. Let's say it's not Sisko. Who are the other options for who the Watcher could be? Well, our first other option would be Guinan. Guinan is a character who we know can tell when there are differences in the timeline, when something has gone wrong, something has been affected. And Whoopi Goldberg has already returned to Star Trek Picard. She was, of course, in the first episode of Season 2. Now, there is every chance that she was only back for one episode, and I have a feeling if that is the case, if they get back to the normal timeline, I have a feeling Picard will look her up and they might have a conversation about it. But there is, of course, nothing to say that she can't travel back in time, or potentially was in San Francisco, or LA, excuse me, at this time, because we know she was in San Francisco a couple of hundred years earlier. It's possible, it is not outside the realms of reality. However, another strong contender for the role of the Watcher is Adam Soong. Brent Spiner is returning to Star Trek, has in fact already returned to Star Trek. He makes a vocal cameo in the second episode of the second season as the holographic version of Adam Soong, and we hear his voice going, "A safe galaxy is a human galaxy." We've seen in the trailers that he is going to be playing Adam Soong. We've seen that he interacts with Q. Q is going to hand him a bullet, so we assume it is for some sort of assassination. We know as well that there are characters who have whited out eyes. Could mean absolutely anything. Could mean possession, could mean early form of robotics. The Soong dynasty, if you like, revolves around both augmented human beings via Arik Soong and his work with augments that we saw in Enterprise, or of course positronic beings, which we saw with Noonien Soong in the 24th century. If we look at augmented human beings, it's closer in time to the eugenics wars in 2024, which took place in 1996. That's less of a jump. So it is by no means crazy to think that Adam Soong will be very aware of the supermen of Khan's ilk. We know as well via Strange New Worlds that there will be La'an Noonien Soong and her brother will be appearing in Strange New Worlds. So the idea of bringing augments into Star Trek Picard, particularly in the past, is not that outlandish an idea. That Adam Soong will be working with augments and would pass the information on to his descendants, which would lead to, of course, Arik Soong later on. Now, there could be augments, there could be androids. We've seen there is at least one worker with whited out eyes. There is one person who seems to be following right behind Picard with whited out eyes. And there is also one shot in one trailer of Laris with whited out eyes, which throws the speculation completely out. Is she an android? Is she possessed? What's she doing in the past? We know Laris will be returning because we see Laris in black tie garb with Rios and Picard in one of the trailers. So can't wait to see Orla Brady back. But how? And why? And what's happening? Is she the Watcher? Who knows? If you look at our Strange New Worlds news videos, you will see that sometimes our speculations age poorly. So quite frankly, the Watcher could end up being Wesley Crusher, for all we know. And I am so here for that, by the way. Will Wheaton, please come back to Star Trek. You deserve another shot at this. Who do you think the Watcher is going to be? Who would you like the Watcher to be? Let us know in the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And remember that you can catch us over on Twitter at Trek Culture. You can catch myself at Sean Ferrick on Twitter as well. You look after yourselves, you look after your friends and family. Sometimes the world can seem quite dark. There is obviously a lot going on. Please take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Live long and prosper. And I'll see you very soon. Thank you.